Hi, welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today we will be going over syntax and comments. While you are coding, the IDE constantly checks for any mistakes in your code that will not allow you to upload your code. It means that the computer does not understand it because there is an error. The most frequent error is syntax. Java will require a semicolon at the end of many commands. A few examples include defining variables, defining different parts of your robot such as motors, and setting power to parts of the robot. Make sure that they have a semicolon at the end of each command. However, there are a few exceptions. Defining a function and conditions do not have a semicolon at the end. So let's head on over to Android Studios. So let's open a new Java class. And for the purposes of this video, I'm going to name it Syntax and Comments. You can name it whatever you want, but make sure it would be easy to find. So this is what it should look like when you open it. I'm going to add some code and then I'm going to explain to you what it does. So I added some code, and as you will notice, after public class it says syntax and comments, and that's because it's the name of the file. Otherwise it will give you an error message. So the first thing we're going to do is define some motors and servos. So private DC motor, and I'm going to call this one left motor, is equal to null. And null is just a placeholder for now. And then I'm going to define another motor, but I'm going to call this right motor and set it equal to null as well. And now I'm going to define a servo, private servo, and I'm just going to call this one claw is equal to null. So I went ahead and added some code that was necessary before you map out the motors and the servo. So I wrote left motor is equal to hardware map.dcmotor.get left motor. So the first left motor is the variable name that I defined in an earlier line, and hardware map is getting it from the hub. And left motor is what I named the item on the robot phone. So I'm going to leave the right motor and the servo up for you to do, but when you're doing a hardware map for the servo, it's going to be hardware map.servo.get instead of DC motor. So you can see me right now programming the right motor to be in reverse. So when I give a positive value for both the right and the left, the robot will move forward instead of turning. And as you code, you'll notice that more import.com Qualcomm lines of code will appear, and that's normal, and don't delete it because otherwise you will receive several errors. So as you'll notice at the end of the line there's a semicolon, and it is very necessary for it to be there. And now I'm going to set the claw into its starting position, which is 0, but you can change it based on your needs, and that also has a semicolon. But the public void does not have a semicolon right next to the bracket, and if you put it there, it will say unnecessary semicolon. So I coded a couple of lines, two variables, one called right power and another called left power, which I set to the y-axis of the right stick and the y-axis of the left stick respectively. I then proceeded to set the left motor and right motor's power to left power and right power. I created a boolean called open, which is set to the x-axis of the gamepad, and created a condition based off of that, which is the if open clause set position and it will change the position of the claw. As you will notice, after the bracket there is no semicolon because it closes off the condition signifying its end. If I do add a semicolon, it will give a message which will say unnecessary semicolon. So that means I should delete it. Pseudocode is an outline of what your program is supposed to do and is extremely helpful for you to refer back to. Comments are important so that people who view your code know what the program is trying to do. Try to aim for one comment per line, unless you want to describe the purpose of a function or loop. Then you should add more. So single line comments are formatted as shown. There will be 2 forward slashes, and as you will notice, this line should be gray, and it is also in English. When reading your program, the computer skips over any comments and will not find any errors in them. So a forward slash and an asterisk is a multi-line comment and is very useful for pseudocode and when trying to find an error, since you can troubleshoot a couple of lines at a time without erasing all of it. Thanks for watching! Remember to like and subscribe to our channel. Links to our website are in the description, and check out the next video. Bye!